Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a week and I've been suffering from broadcaster's block. You've heard of writer's block, but you see, sometimes even those of us who do a lot of talking and speaking, and oftentimes too much talking and not enough listening, we, like writers, we have a lot to say, but we can't figure out a way to say it. And that is especially true for me from time to time as I get a little bit older. But today I'd like to see if I can get over that and perhaps do something that will be helpful to you, maybe useful to you, and maybe it can be that you need to be, or you ought to be, or maybe you really are an interesting person. Let's see if we can talk about that. I'm Stan Houston's Inconvenient Ideas about ideas. And the program begins right now. When it comes to naming a radio program, there are all kinds of things that go into that. Now, my last program on the 16th of March on would you like to have, or why don't you think about having a professional broadcaster with your business? And that question still stands. Not because we are better than other people. It's just that right now the economy has moved into a place of what we call the performance economy. And I have a friend today who said, Stan, I keep selling these books. I offer them on the internet and nobody buys them. And I wrote back to him and said, it's because you are not selling, you are merely offering, and your offer is boring. Now, of course, if you want to survive on the media, there's one thing you cannot be for very long. If ratings is how you will make your money, you can't be boring. You have to be exciting or energetic, controversial. There have to be a number of things that you have to do to either delight people or disrupt their lives or aggravate them so that you can get enough people who will, quote, pay the time and therefore pay the bills. All right, you have to do that. Well, here's what I'd like to do today. Inconvenient Ideas. Obviously, I stole it from somebody who wrote a film and a book about inconvenient truth, which now we wonder whether it really was a truth. That's an inconvenient idea in itself, if you know what I'm talking about. But I first began a series of programs simply saying the interesting ideas. And my point was very simple, that I wanted to talk about things that were interesting to me, maybe to a special guest, hopefully to many of you, something that was interesting. However, I found out that sometimes that didn't quite have, and here's the word, the E word, energy and edge. If you want to be a broadcaster, you have to have enough energy, and oftentimes you have to have a bit of an edge, maybe even a sharp edge from time to time. Well, in this short little program, I'm going to try and get you to just think. Now, please, maybe think about this, listen to it again and write it down. But interesting ideas, okay, kind of a boring title. But here's what I'd like you to do that will make you more interesting. Now, that's significant. In today's performance economy, the work you do will be good, but if you can perform it, if you can be interesting, you will have a greater chance of thriving and not just surviving in the performance economy. So here's what I did. I sat down one day and it came to me. What are other ideas besides interesting ideas? Well, here's what I came. There are all kinds of different interesting ideas that we can seek to discover, create, and share. Well, number one, hopefully it's an intelligent idea. Yeah, something that, strikes people. Well, that is thoughtful. That's good. It's intelligent, well thought out. Maybe it's a smart idea. That would be great. Something that not only could be useful, but perhaps it could give you a little bit of power, influence, and money. Because it's smart. And perhaps you gain a reputation around the business or around the world you work and live in. You know, he's a smart guy. Not a smart-ass guy. He is really a smart guy. She is a smart girl. Oh, no. Uh-oh. A smart gal. Uh-oh. A smart woman. Yeah. Number 3, inquisitive ideas. You know, those are the ideas which are meant to get people to think about something, but maybe do more than think about it. They actually go and do some research, or there's something they need to figure out about that they need to know, or they think they need to know and might be helpful. It's an inquisitive idea. Not something that is right smack hard in your face, but just an idea that gets people to say, maybe I should look into that. Maybe that's something that would be helpful. Number 4, inspirational ideas. Something that turns you on. Yeah. You know, we talk about motivation and energy. Being inspired, which means is that your whole body, in some cases, body, mind, spirit, heart, there is something about what you are experiencing, what you're going through, or what you just heard. Kind of gets you walking a little taller, walking a little faster, and perhaps doing something you hadn't done before. Maybe you're boldly going where you've never gone before. An inspirational idea. Instructional ideas. Okay, here's one I needed. I've seen all of those videos where they have the character, who was in a movie or a TV show 30 or 40 years ago, and it shows a picture of that or a caricature of that person, and all of a sudden you have, Michael J. Fox, who was in, Back to the Future. We saw him then, and now we see him go in and shake hands and embrace his self today. I wanted to know, how can you do that? How do they do that? So I went in and tried to get some instructional ideas to see if maybe I could do that. Instigating ideas. All of that could lead where you're going to get people to do something. You're going to stir things up. It's meant to, as one of my friends says, it's an idea, and he uses the term all the time, raise a ruckus. Not just inspiring or instructing, but raising a ruckus, instigating ideas. That's number 6. Number 7, innovative. Now, I think that's somewhat self-explanatory. It's, never thought of that. That could work. Yeah, thank you. It's new. It's different, at least. It's something we hadn't thought about. Yeah, he or she, they're really an innovator, kind of an inventor. You kind of invent things in terms of ideas. Or you could be Idealistic ideas. Yeah, you are the dreamer, perhaps somewhat the motivator, someone who actually has ways of living and thinking and being better. You say, we can be better, we can do better. This could be great. It's a high ideal. Well, then, of course, they could be, as we have said, number 9, inconvenient ideas. Now, the double edge there, and that's why it's the end. Remember, an inconvenient idea could be something that gets in the way of your thinking, that challenges you to stop, and it's inconvenient. It could be all of the others, but right now, it's not necessarily something you want to deal with. It's inconvenient. It's not convenient. And my point is, an inconvenient idea might be just a bad idea, because there are bad ideas. All of those ideas could be bad. But it could be inconvenient because it's a true idea. And it means that I might have to, quote, leave my convenient zone. You've heard of comfort zone? Well, there's another word for that. It's a convenient. And you might have to get out of your convenient zone. Number 9. By the way, that'll do. However, from time to time, I go to one of my favorite words, and this is number 10. It's what is called an Issachar idea. And you say, well, what's that? Okay, let me spell it first. I-S-S-A-C-H-A-R, idea. And there is a short story behind it, but I could make it long, but very simply, in the Hebrew Scriptures, many of you have some tradition about that, or you know something about it. Some Christians may call it the Old Testament, but it's, Old Testament, New Testament. It's part of the Bible that is traditionally used by the Christian or Jewish faith. And there is a story of one of the kings of ancient Israel, and you've probably all heard of him. In some way, his name was King David. And of course, the flag of the state of Israel and the unfortunate Holocaust symbol that, in effect, Jews who were being persecuted in Europe, they were forced to wear the Star of David, the 6-pointed star, which identified them as Jews, and they could be discriminated against and intimidated and hurt, just exactly what the Iranians were trying to do to everybody who is Jewish. That's right. That's their deal. Okay. Story of David and Goliath. Now, it's said in the stories that he was a wise king, but he also got into trouble a lot because he did a lot of stupid things as well as a lot of smart things. But it said that in one of the descriptions of him that there were a group of men and women, and that's oftentimes the case, from a certain tribe called Issachar. And for some reason, these people had a special gifting, and it was obviously maybe a spiritual gifting. And it said that they understood the times and they knew what to do. Sometimes we are fortunate enough to get an Issachar idea. And we say, oh, now I get it. This is what's going on. In the words of Bugs Bunny, we now know what's up, Doc. Hey, I got it. And you know what? I think I now know what to do. An idea that helps you understand the times and know what to do. That is a wisdom beyond measure. Wisdom beyond measure. And when you do, you enter that zone of life which we call the wisdom zone, which actually may help you not only understand the times and know what to do, but to do them and transform your life, your world, the work you do, the relationships you have. You don't just tweak them or twist them or turn them. You change them significantly. And you actually enter what we call the transformation zone, which is not for feeble souls and sissies. It is entering a zone of life where you decide that you're going to do something new, perhaps significant, and something that changes you, changes others, changes your world, and who knows, changes the world. A young man named Stephen Jobs said, if everybody had a computer and not just IBM, because the computers belong to IBM, if everybody had their own computer, what? These big, huge machines, everybody can't have a computer. Only IBM could have those big, wonderful computers. And he said, no, maybe everybody could have their own computer. It changed the world, didn't it? Well, there we go. Thank you for giving me 17 minutes to tell you a little bit about ideas. And you know what? If you do some of this kind of work, I guarantee you, you will be more interesting. And if you combine that with being more interesting and also interested in others, good things, maybe even great things, can happen. And that could be an inconvenient idea, but do it anyhow. I'm Stan Houston. Thank you for your time, and I'd love to help you change your world. I'm one of the Transformation Zone guys, and we'd like to help you be curious, make an impact, do a little Issachar work, and then say, it's time to change things big time. And if that's what you want to do, I think we can help you do just that. Stan at witradio.net, Stan at witradio.net. And here's an inconvenient but wonderful idea. Always close with a benediction. I wish you all the best and blessings for you, your family, your business, and your work. Indeed, may it go well with you right now. And bye for now.